The Avengers. Operation Lifeline. The Avengers were gathered at the Avengers Tower when a sudden distress signal was intercepted. An enormous earthquake had struck a coastal city, causing widespread destruction. Thousands of lives were at risk as buildings crumbled, fires broke out, and the sea threatened to unleash a tsunami. Tony Stark immediately assessed the situation and activated the Avengers for a full-scale rescue mission. The team, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, Hulk, Hawkeye, and the newly recruited Scarlet Witch, prepared to deploy. The Quinjet roared through the sky, descending over the devastated city. The Avengers were met with scenes of chaos, toppled buildings, injured civilians, and panic-stricken crowds. Captain America quickly took charge, assigning roles. Iron Man and Thor were tasked with securing the unstable buildings, Hulk with clearing debris, Black Widow and Hawkeye with evacuating civilians, and Scarlet Witch with using her powers to contain the fires and stabilize the ground. Hulk, with his immense strength, lifted entire slabs of concrete to free people trapped underneath. His actions were swift and decisive, each rescue bringing a sense of hope to the terrified survivors. But when an aftershock hit, a large skyscraper began to tilt dangerously, threatening to collapse on a crowded street. Hulk, using all his might, propped up the building, allowing Iron Man and Thor to secure it with their technology and power. Iron Man, equipped with his latest suit, used repulsor beams to blast through debris and reach those trapped inside collapsed structures. In one intense moment, Tony detected a group of children trapped in a school bus, teetering on the edge of a bridge. With time running out, he used his suit's grappling hooks to stabilize the bus and carefully pulled it back to safety. The children, once terrified, now looked at Iron Man with awe. Thor flew over the city, using Mjolnir to summon winds and rain to douse the fires spreading through the city. His presence was commanding as he tore through the wreckage to save those in need. But the real test came when the sea began to rise, signaling the oncoming tsunami. Thor, harnessing the power of the storm, created a barrier of wind and lightning to hold back the waters, buying precious time for the others to complete the evacuation. Black Widow moved through the shadows, locating survivors and guiding them to safety. Her agility and combat skills were crucial in navigating the treacherous terrain. She encountered a group of injured civilians trapped in a subway tunnel. Using her quick thinking, she devised a plan to use an abandoned maintenance tunnel as an escape route. Her calm and reassuring demeanor kept the group focused as they made their way to safety. Hawkeye, from a vantage point high above, provided cover for the team. With his precision, he neutralized threats like unstable structures or falling debris. At one point, he spotted a young woman trapped on a rooftop with no way down. Using his bow, he shot an arrow carrying a zip line, which allowed her to escape just as the building collapsed behind her. His accuracy was the difference between life and death in several close calls. Scarlet Witch, still learning the full extent of her powers, found herself at a crossroads. With so much destruction, she feared losing control. But with a few encouraging words from Captain America, she focused her energy on stabilizing the ground and preventing further quakes. Her powers also allowed her to telekinetically lift debris and create protective barriers for evacuating civilians, showcasing her growing strength and resolve. Despite Thor's efforts, the tsunami began to breach the city defenses. The Avengers regrouped, realizing they had only minutes to act. Stark devised a plan to use a combination of Thor's storm powers and Scarlet Witch's energy manipulation to create a force field strong enough to divert the wave. As the massive wall of water approached, Thor and Wanda combined their powers, forming a shimmering barrier. The wave crashed against it, but their combined might held firm, saving countless lives. With the immediate danger over, the Avengers continued their efforts to evacuate the remaining civilians. Captain America led the final push, coordinating with local authorities and ensuring that every last person was accounted for. The city was battered but not broken, thanks to the Avengers' relentless efforts. As dawn broke, the team looked over the city, knowing they had done everything in their power to save it. The Avengers watched as the first responders and relief workers arrived, taking over the rescue operations. The city's residents, shaken but alive, began to emerge from their shelters. People started to cheer as they realized the extent of what the Avengers had accomplished. Reporters were on the scene, capturing the heroism and selflessness of the team. But for the Avengers, the real reward was seeing the people safe. A few days later, a ceremony was held to honor the Avengers. The mayor and city officials presented them with medals and expressed the gratitude of the entire city. But the most touching moment came when the survivors themselves stepped forward, each with a story of how they had been saved by the team. The Avengers stood humbled as they were applauded not as superheroes, but as protectors of humanity. Captain America, speaking for the team, simply said, "We did what we had to do. That's what heroes do."